Let's try talking about the not so great sides of spirituality, even if it is about non-duality and stuff like that. Maybe we can just call it spiritual bypassing, where you're trying to use these teachings and stuff to kind of avoid life in a certain way, or to even just take advantage of other people. I've definitely seen people try to say, you're not as awake as someone else, so you should not listen to yourself and listen to them more. Even when I make this stuff, I don't really want people to put me on a pedestal because I really am just a regular random person with normal, regular human stuff that I gotta take care of. Normal, regular human desires. Maybe I can just share that stuff later. But yeah. Things like, I don't know, if you've been around the block at least a little, you probably at least hear stories of teachers taking advantage of students, especially physically, which is something that can happen if you think this person knows something you don't, or they're better, or you put them on a pedestal and you throw away just your own good sense and dignity of keeping yourself safe. I guess I can share a story of someone. This was years and years ago. This was before I really delved into spirituality, but I knew someone. She had kind of started getting into this stuff. Her partner had been in it for way longer, years maybe. And he kind of used this as a way to take advantage of her. Like, oh, when you say no to me, that's just your ego. These were really explicit physical stuff. I'm pretty sure you can tell what I'm trying to avoid saying. And they had a sangha, a spiritual group of people, and she would ask them, is me saying no to my partner just my ego? And they said, yeah. And this person was able to take advantage of her because she thought they were more awakened than her. And it was a pretty terrible situation. That's kind of what spiritual bypassing is, using these teachings to kind of take advantage of people or not take a look at your life. Things like, oh, I'm too awake or I'm too above any of all this stuff, so I can just ignore it or look past it or use it to criticize someone else. Because what all this stuff is trying to point to, there's this specific mechanism that you can completely stop, and this very specific type of pain, we'll call it suffering, and you can stop it. It's not like you're never going to be in physical pain. It's not like people aren't going to hurt you or you won't disappoint people. It's the part that goes, there's something wrong with me, or there's something wrong with life, or something's not quite right. If you ever feel that, that can actually stop. And that's what these teachings are trying to point to. It's the stopping of that thing that's kind of, it feels like something's wrong, or life doesn't feel real enough, or you feel disconnected. That's really what these teachings are trying to point towards. And there's just certain things where, at least personally, I think it's weird that it's taboo. Like I hear people talk about it's kind of taboo to talk about enlightenment using the word enlightenment. But I feel like not talking about it makes it seem almost otherworldly and ethereal and like almost like if someone talks like they have it, they're kind of holier than you, something like that. I feel like the tabooness of the word enlightenment makes it more special than it is. But it's kind of like a fish looking for water, and another fish just goes, you're already in the water. Why are you looking for it? It's not special, it's just someone stating the obvious. Yeah, but I definitely agree. If someone likes to talk about it, you should probably be wary of them. I don't want you to just believe me because I say these things. Definitely check back in your actual experience. I definitely want to try using the word enlightenment and liberation more because I don't want it to have that special flavor to it. I want to kind of make it normal. It doesn't make anyone special. Like, I don't know something you don't know. We're exactly the same. I'm just here to admit, actually, I don't know, and I don't have to know. It's kind of the stopping of, I don't really have that judgment of, this is how it works, and this is concrete, this is absolute. I can just stop doing that and just go, I don't know, let's see. Let's just look at it as it is and just see it without having to define it. Just looking and being as we are, as it is. Like, I still do regular stuff. I go to the grocery store, I clean. Like, suffering would be being stuck at a line in Target that's super long and going, I have better things to do. This isn't worth my time. Like, I'm above waiting in line. That would be suffering. There's this judgment that what is happening is shouldn't be happening. You're too good for it, or you're too bad for it, whatever. The end of suffering is just this is how it is. And you don't try to argue against what's happening. It's just really that simple. It's nothing special. And I don't know, I just kind of have this feeling that maybe we should normalize and unspecialize the word enlightenment or liberation, because when you hear about groups or teachers taking advantage of students, can't help but go, something's not quite right. Because outside of being able to teach and talk about this stuff, if you meet me normally, I'm just a regular person. People have their opinions of me. Some people perceive me one way, another person perceives me another way. They're all just perceptions. None of it describes, none of them is actually me. They're just descriptions of me. In the same way, if you talk about someone, you're describing a person. That's not actually the person. Oh, this was just a quick little, you can call it a rant. It's more of a, I just want this whole spiritual thing to kind of lose its mysterious air that this is something special or rare. It's just someone that's kind of stopped mentally trying to create a specific defined reality and just goes, oh, let me just see how it is already as it is, instead of being able to say and define an ultimate exactly as it is. Here would be a weird example. It's like if you said, I am 20 years old. I'm not actually 20 years old. Let me use my actual age. I don't know if you can tell. I'm 30. Like if I said, I am 30 years old, and that's a fact, and that never changes. That's like a mental construct. Like I have to be like this forever. When in reality, things are fluid. It's not completely defined. Or even like in the past, I can say at one point, I'm trying to think, what is something I didn't like, but I liked later? Um, yeah, this isn't a real example. I just see an example. But let's say at one point I say I don't like oranges. And I had that statement define me. And then I never try an orange again. But things can change. Another time I can go, hey, now I like oranges. Saying I like oranges or I don't like oranges doesn't define me. It's more of just a statement coming out of my mouth. When it comes to this enlightenment stuff, it's really just pointing to just that stopping of creating the sense of I that's separate from everything. And it would be unwise to ask questions or try to have this really specific thing about the end of self and suffering and try to use it to escape something else like relationship problems or physical problems or health problems, because it's not going to do that. You can probably make navigating those areas significantly easier, trust me. At least in my life, it has. But it's not going to fix or just give me the answers to those things. It makes you more open and receptive to looking into those things. Like being enlightenment isn't gonna tell you like, oh, how do I find a perfect relationship or something. Don't go to me for that kind of advice. Or if you have a health problem, I wouldn't know. I would refer you to go see a doctor. All I can point out is, hey, I can see the little ways in your head where you're misperceiving reality and it's causing you to suffer. That's as best as I can do.